Individuals sharing a common desire to break out of the rut of routine living and travel. People accepting the challenge and the adventure of one of the great overland journeys, from Kathmandu to London. They are the Sundowners. The first stage of the journey is to Kathmandu. It's an adventure in itself. A popular stopover is Singapore, gateway to Asia, and a duty-free port into the bargain. The golden splendour of Bangkok is also a must, with its Buddhas, dragons, temples and open markets. Skimming along through the klongs is another way of life. Strange and exotic to our eyes. Kathmandu, lying snugly in a fertile valley at the foot of the Himalayas and the mighty Mount Everest. Temples with ringing bells and echoing gongs, inhabited by chattering monkeys. And a town square where life just strolls by.
The people, Nepalese people are really good. Yeah. Really friendly people.
That's an amazing thing, though, isn't it? You're so poor and yet so happy and friendly.
Kathmandu is also the rendezvous for the Sundowners, who we shall join for their journey to London.
Why did you pick this way to travel?
I came by ship over and I want to go overland home.
Yeah.
I like to see people in the country. It's more interesting.
You go this way and you see half the world, almost.
Certainly decided me because I saw these normal people in this bus and I thought if they can do it, I can do it too.
Should be a great trip.
Oh, well, it should be different.
The drive up over the mountains is in a local bus. An exciting beginning, but soon we're installed in our own bus for the rest of the trip to London. Behold, India, a fascination of cultures, religions, temples, expressing the wisdom and elegance of a people who've survived a succession of exotic rulers and are now striving in the 20th century to overcome a population and poverty crisis. India is a universal encounter and an individual experience. An early morning boat ride takes us down the Ganges at Benares. Here we witness Hindus bathing in the sacred waters. And the burning ghats where the dead are cremated on log fires. Back at the hotel, we're entertained by some of the locals. The influence on Western pop styles by Indian music is being heard around the world. We're privileged guests at a session with sitar, drums and dancer. Kajaharo and a cluster of temples dating back to the 10th century AD, well known for their erotic carvings. The variety and interest when driving through towns, villages and the countryside is one of the most rewarding parts of travelling. At the Red Fort in Agra, history comes alive as our guide takes us back in time. Here we catch our first glimpse of the Taj Mahal and line up for a photograph in front of this timeless tribute from a man to the woman he loved. A tear on the cheek of time.
No, it glowed. The white marble just glowed. It just looked immaculate, so pure and clean and wonderful. And as you walk around it in the moonlight, you see the precious stones just glittering. And as you walk along, the glittering will change across the wall.
Contemplating time. When 60 feet above the ground, this great sundial measures time to within 3 seconds. 250 years ago, a passion for astrology was aroused in Chawar Jai Singh II and erupted into this weird cluster of walls, spheres and blocks of stone. Mail stops are frequent along the route, and the anticipation of news from home is always a topic of conversation. And when a group of the girls get among such precious stones as these, there'll be plenty to write home about. How can they possibly resist at these prices? The Golden Temple in Amritsar. This is the centre of the Sikh religion. We hear the sacred music and the endless reading of the Granth Sahib. A meal at Mrs. Bandari's is always a memorable occasion. It's curry and rice and nice. She's been treating Sundowners as her own family for years, and the goodwill built up by successive tours can now be enjoyed by all Sundowners travellers. A tour leader with Sundowners has the experience of having travelled widely and has undergone rigorous training before assuming the responsibility of the journey. The drive to Kashmir is no exception. His common sense and cheerful attitude assures everyone of a smooth journey. He's a reliable friend and not just a good driver. Srinagar, a network of picturesque lakes and houseboats. A few days afloat and a rest from the road. Life is lazy, idyllic and romantic. Now we're in Muslim country, Lahore, Pakistan. And when Sue realises the Muslim attitude to shorts, she takes the hint and a few yards of material to eliminate embarrassing moments when strolling around the market area. This is a great way to see the town. The sun throws its golden rays across Kabul in the heart of Afghanistan. Little has changed in this part of town. A butcher opens for business. Up goes a fruit seller's stall. And another day gets underway. A photographer isn't always welcome, particularly around Muslim women. Porters straining under incredible loads. There's a feast of curios for the souvenir hunters, haggling their way through bazaars and back alleys. And whilst on the subject of souvenirs, here, displayed by these nomads of knowledge, experience and hard bargaining, are a few of the trinkets of their trappings so far. Brassware, carved wood, Gurkha knives, Buddhas, bags, beads, topaz rings, batik carvings and paintings. These are the trophies of travel, sought out, discovered and treasured. High above the plain, we've found a swimming pool, an oasis. After the grind and excitement of the long haul through the Khyber Pass. Once a palace, it's now converted into a restaurant. It's time to move on again and say farewell to Kabul. We follow the old trade routes, once used by Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Tamerlane, and the Mughal hordes as they swept through on their plundering paths. On along excellent American and Russian-made roads, through wind and sand, and on through the heat of the day. Near some dried out ruins, we stop for lunch, under the only piece of shade this side of the horizon. Refueling in the middle of nowhere. Must be what they call local interest. We travel not for trafficking alone. By hotter winds our fiery hearts are fanned. For lust of knowing what should not be known, we make the journey to England. By sunset, we're in Herat, with its turban-flowing men and prancing bell-laden horses. And we count the sheep to sleep. In the words of Omar Khayyam, dreaming when dawn's left hand was in the sky, I heard a voice within the tavern cry, "Awake, my little ones, and fill the cup, before life's liquor and the cup be dry." And the world of Islam emerged before our dusty eyes. Isfahan, the opulent city of the Safavid kings of Persia. It was said by ancient travellers that Isfahan is half the world, It contains some of the finest examples of Persian Islamic buildings. Situated at the intersections of important trade routes, its wealth has attracted a succession of conquerors over the centuries. Decoration is in fine mosaic tiles with calligraphy and floral designs. The bazaar around the Shah Square is the traditional home of the copper and brass craftsmen. The Palace of Shahel Satum, supported by these slender wooden columns which add a special charm and convey the builder's love of beauty. Inside the endless maze of the covered bazaar, artists and craftsmen, weavers and merchants go about their traditional tasks. For the curious, it's a prize centre. Life flows along the roadside as it's done for centuries, an infinite procession of interest. A Bedouin tribe follows the flock, and amidst the sunflowers, a quiet stop. Turkey is a paradise for the camera record of the journey. In the valley of Goremi, volcanic cones and pinnacles served as a refuge for Christians during the Arab invasion in the 7th century. It's honeycombed with cells and painted churches. Our first real taste of camping is at Selefki on the Turkish coast. All facilities are installed at the camping ground, including communal kitchen, bar and restaurant. So we can relax in the warm breeze and enjoy a long-awaited swim in the sea. Meeting other Sundowners travelling the route to Kathmandu is always an occasion. The swapping of information like what and where to eat and where the bargains are is very much the code of the road. Further on, we visit the ancient ruins of Hierapolis, which are at Pamukkale, famous for its lake of warm, calcareous water, which cause travertine formations in terraces on the surrounding rocks. At Ephesus, we relive some of the glories of the past with our own gladiators. And the ruins of Troy take us through to Istanbul. East meets west. Asia ends, Europe begins. A bustling city trying to be 20th century in the clutter and confusion of layer upon layer of history. Just lose yourself in the melee of porters, mosques, cafes, markets and fish stalls. Or in the Kapali Kasi Bazaar, 95 tortuous passages, stuffed with a profusion of Turkish delights. And when you're hungry, head for the harbour and the floating restaurants. Servings of grilled fish are so succulent, you'll ask for more. Everyone joins in the fun at a beach barbecue when we're camping on the way to Athens. Athens, ancient and modern, where the legends of Western civilization were born. dominated by the near-mythical ruins of her past. The glory of Greece, expressed boldly in the architecture and sculpture of the Acropolis. Or the Plaka area, where at night music, food and wine come alive. In the golden light of another morning, we watch the shimmering hall come in with the fishermen of Kavala. A priest sits, maybe contemplating the ruins at Delphi, which still seem haunted by gods and ancient heroes. The amphitheatre is cut snugly into the mountainside, commanding a majestic view over the centuries. But time has taken its toll. An earthquake struck Skopje in Yugoslavia in 1965, precisely at 5:16 p.m. What's left of the post office stands as a monument. But rebuilding moved with the times, though in the country, unruffled by the unrest of earth or politics, much remains as it always was. We wind our way across Yugoslavia, high up into the mountains, and snow. For some, the first sight and taste. Signs soon give way to the sheer splendour of the Dalmatian coast, crisp, clean and picturesquely snug. A short ferry ride hurries us upon our way. Until, through the blooms of a late summer, we catch our first view of the Pearl of the Adriatic, Dubrovnik, an exquisite example of another age, encircled by fortress walls, still repelling the unwanted, the automobile. Restaurants and discos seduce us late into the night. The duty cooks are busy, preparing breakfast for the hungry horde.
I think there are some over there.
Saved by the bell. Camping in Europe offers a variety of life and food of its very own. At Renato's in Venice, anything can happen.
I wish you could get a whole lot of it,
Strumming guitars soon have us in a rollicking mood for a barbecue. Everyone joins into the spirit of yet another memorable occasion. Venice, its very name a dream. San Marco Square, pigeons, people and places. chance to sit in the sun, read the news from home, and sip a quiet coffee while the orchestra plays on. Venice is a floating city with 1,000 treasures and 100 palaces, interwoven with miles of canals and linked by footbridges. Slim gondolas glide through golden reflections, like the breeze through the autumn leaves at the end of a long hot summer. We sweep down autobahns into Austria. Innsbruck, centre of the Tyrol, traditional, solid, and very tasty. Then we literally slip down the salt mines near Salzburg. Our get-up to go down the mines has just the right sprinkling for these seasoned travellers to turn it into yet another fun occasion. So picturesque is the countryside that it looks more like a coloured postcard than the actual place. Just to sit and take it all in. A real feast for body and soul. None of the puff and fuss of the Olympics is reflected in the calm serenity of these 20th century structures now. Spread like a huge see-through Bedouin tent around this man-made lake in Munich, it expresses much about modern Germany to the aware traveller. The capacity for beer and friendship takes a bit of matching in Germany, but it's worth a try. London, Big Ben. Parades of pomp and ceremony.
To the lifeguards, this wonderful creamy concoction of horses and men with their white sheepskins, scarlet tunics and white plumes in their helmets. Here they go past the Queen.
One of the great cities of the world and the end of our journey. It's been for these Sundowners the experience of a lifetime, spanning 2 continents and 11,000 miles. Practically the entire ancient world, its peoples, religions and customs. Sundowners' journey also offers something a little harder, the chance to discover yourself. Oh, come with old Khayyam and leave the wise to talk. One thing is certain, that life flies.